With this Emax bridge case, it comes out of the mill and unfortunately the anatomy is not that great. So we want to try and increase the quality of our restoration by adding some post-mill refinement and then finishing with a nice high shine. And ideally, we don't want to do that with too much time. So Spur Removal, I like to use a sintered lab wheel, cut off the restoration pretty much all the way, or all the way if you can, and it just means that you're not going to be flexing the contact points of that restoration, and it's going to come off nice and easy. DiaShine Trim is a really great product. It really allows you to remove the sprue from restorations without having water going everywhere when you're using a high-speed dental handpiece to remove the sprue from your restorations, or the time that it takes to use a lab diamond to remove it. And it's also a really nice smooth finish when it's done. Now, when I'm increasing the anatomical features of a restoration, I really like to use straight lab diamonds. I feel like they're a really great addition to the practice. You can use your dental high-speed handpiece if you'd like. Because this restoration is going to go through the furnace afterwards, you don't actually need to use water at this point. It's different if you have a restoration that's already been through the furnace, because you don't really want to be touching a finished restoration with a diamond. That could cause fracturing and problems, especially without water. So I sometimes move from one to the other with these lab diamonds. In this case, sometimes it's useful to change your grip, just so that you've got a different way to, I like to use the word caress, to follow the anatomy of the teeth to accentuate further into the fissures. And one thing we see when we look at our bridge restorations is that there's these sort of very curvaceous interproximal areas, and that's not how teeth look. So we want to try and hide those as much as possible, and it's difficult to get even a flame-shaped diamond into those areas. So a better way to do it is to use the same sintered lab wheel with diamond around it, and to nurse it into the contact points between the teeth. This will accentuate the illusion of individual teeth while maintaining the integrity of the bridge. So we don't actually cut all the way through. It's just a half a millimeter or so more depth accentuation into those areas, and it's a really effective way of aesthetically making the bridge look like you've got three completely individual separate teeth. The DiaShine all-in-one hard binder compound it's something I'm so proud of. I really like this compound. I was so fortunate to have met Roland, and this compound really will make every restoration that you make in your digital practice so much easier. You just need to use one compound for any of your ceramics, including zirconia. We want to have that compound melted onto the brush liberally, and then use about 30,000 RPM and nurse the occluso brush, which is the special brush that we're using, with medium pressure onto the anatomy of the teeth. It's really important to do that. You don't want to have pressure on and off, on and off, on and off. You can increase the pressure every now and then, but the idea is that it's just continual contact moving onto and into the depths of the anatomy. And that's why we use this special occluso brush from DiaShine, because its shape and the texture and how hard those bristles are, it's like a medium bristle brush. All of those components put together with this compound just mean that it's just a very easy process to get an incredible high shine without too much effort. And you'll find that, within a couple of minutes, you'll have that really nice high luster finish, and you can take it into the interproximals as well, for example, on a bridge restoration, like I'm showing now, without too much problem at all. Now, I don't use this occluso brush for my smooth surfaces. I just use it for the occlusal, and I always want to start there when I'm doing my restorations. For smooth surfaces, I'm really happy to use the Pro system from Eve. It's a great system. There's a few different iterations of it, but I like to use this particular lab wheel because it's got a lot of surface area that it can cover. It's the widest of the series. And I start on the lingual and buccal, or palatal and buccal smooth surfaces of the restorations with the red Pro, but it's really for surface refinement. And so you can go over that sprue area just slightly and get it even more tidied up. You can use it underneath Pontics, as I'm demonstrating now, and it will be followed up by the yellow Eve Dye Pro. You don't want to use it on the interproximals because it will actually remove too much ceramic and it might leave you with open contact points. Then we switch to the yellow Eve Dye Pro. It's been made specifically just like the red one for lithium disilicate ceramic, but they work fantastic for all glass ceramics and zirconia. You get an incredible high shine from this polisher. Make sure that the polisher, as you're applying it to these smooth surfaces, is working down towards the margin and not up against the margin. If you do that, you will never ever cause marginal damage. You'll never get open margins. It's just if you disobey that rule and you have your polisher working up against the margin in terms of the way that it rotates. So we use this on all of our smooth surfaces, buccal, lingual, palatal, obviously underneath the Pontics on bridges like this one. And then I just work it into the interproximals as well, just to get that high shine, which is really, really critical when we're using bonded resin cements. These days we want to make sure that our bonded resin cements don't stick to our ceramics. So having a high shine or a high glaze finish on the interproximals means that it's much easier for cement removal in those areas. And you can see after all this work, we've got a nicely finished, yes, it isn't green, the green stage or purple in Emax's case, but got a nicely finished restoration. It's not anything to do with color, it's just texture and the way that the light now bounces out of that anatomical, those beautiful anatomical features that we've produced. And so, you take a few minutes to do this and it's going to give you a great result for all your cases.